And last but not least, the movie Molly's Game. Shout out to my boy Pablo who put me onto it and suggested I watch. I did, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I saw it on Netflix. I wasn't sure what it was about. Like, like when you're like scrolling through Netflix and you just see like new movie or whatever. And based on the title, I wasn't interested. I didn't honestly look any deeper into it. Then my boy told me it was a good watch. And being that he's a Spun Today alum, I said, why not? Let me give it a shot. I put it on and find out that the screenplay is written by and the movie is directed by Aaron Sorkin. And from that point on, I was hooked. Aaron Sorkin is one of my favorite writers, one of my favorite dialogue writers of all time. He's written movies like A Few Good Men, The Social Network, which is the Facebook movie, a show called The Network, which I loved on HBO, a show called The West Wing, the play To Kill a Mockingbird based on the book, obviously. But I absolutely love the way he writes, especially dialogue. And I'm actually taking his masterclass now and definitely getting a bunch of gems from it that I will share with you folks in one of the future free writing session episodes. But anyway, the movie's off the hook. It's based on a true story, first of all, based on this woman that runs these underground poker games for celebrities and quote elite rich individuals. Kevin Costner plays her father. Idris Elba plays her attorney. Michael Cera's in it. It's all based on the book written by Molly Bloom, which is the protagonist, and is played by Jessica Chastain. So basically, she is this super overachieving person that is an Olympic skier. She has the quintessential overbearing, pushy dad. That's her coach. And, she has a 3.9 GPA. Her LSAT scores are above average for like Harvard or Yale Law School. And at the Olympics, she has this freak accident that they get into right in the beginning of the movie to like set the stage, where she's doing everything almost absolutely perfectly. And there happens to be a frozen twig poking up from the ground that she happens to land on by inches and has a devastating freak accident that she wasn't supposed to be able to recover from, and she did. And that in itself is a testament to how much of an overachiever she is, and just someone that had her destiny within her own control, and she was always able to do and pull off what she set her mind to. So long story short, she winds up, after all of this, moving to LA with about $1,700 to her name. She gets a random office job as a secretary / personal assistant, aka doing errands for the owner of the company, and also had a couple of bartending gigs on nights and weekends. And she stumbles upon the opportunity to organize and be the hostess at this underground card game event that the boss at that office that she worked at used to hold. And there were a couple celebrities. The buy-in for the games was $10,000 in cash, and this was her introduction into that world. And being the uber smart overachiever that she is, she pretty much wound up learning everything she had to learn about running these types of games. Then fast forward, and she's running her own games in LA. Then some shit goes down where she winds up moving to New York and recreating herself running games in New York. And she takes that pretty much $1,700 that she moved to LA with to having a penthouse in New York City and $4+ million in the bank at the time that she is eventually arrested. Now, nothing about the card games were illegal, technically, because the money that she was generating herself was technically tips or something like that. I forget what the exact legal loophole for her receiving money was, but they explained it in the movie. So it's not until you take a rake, quote unquote rake, which is like a percentage of the gambling pot, like for the house, that it becomes illegal. And she wound up doing that towards the end, which then led to her eventual arrest. And then the movie is chronicling her defending herself in court with, Idris Elba, obviously, and the recapping of her like entire experience, like through this underground poker game world. And she gets into how she wound up getting beat up once by the Italian mob and mobsters that pretty much wanted to have a stake in her game. She also had several Russian mob players that actually played in some of her games. And it was a wild story, again, based on a true story, on her, Molly Bloom's actual life story. And I'll leave you guys with this before I wrap up the show, which is from the movie, but an actual fact. And that highlights just the genius of Aaron Sorkin in his writing. And he works into, I forget the exact context of it. I think it's speaking to Molly's kind of obsession with perfection and control. But it's such a dope story and like factoid that it got my attention, and I looked it up afterwards and wanted to share it with you guys here. They tell the story of how, or she tells the story of how there was a runner by the name of Mac Robinson, a track runner, that is known for winning the silver medal in the 1936 Olympics. And he actually broke the world record in those Olympics for the 200 meter dash. But that is the same Olympics that Jesse Owens then broke his record of breaking the record to capture and win the gold medal in the 1936 Olympics. And Jesse Owens obviously goes on to be this household name, public figure, renowned athlete. And Mac Robinson went on to eventually become and die as a school janitor. And the difference between when Mac Robinson broke the world record and when Jesse Owens broke it right after him was 0.4 of a second. And I believe, if I remember correctly, like the story's highlighting how that 0.4 of a second made such a big difference in the lives of these two people, where one became this up on a pedestal athlete that the world will always know, and the other became the janitor in a school. Then what's also crazy, which has nothing to do with that piece of the story, but just interesting in and of itself, is that Mac Robinson's younger brother is Baseball Hall of Fame Jackie Robinson, which is known for breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. Anyways, I thought the movie was dope. It's on Netflix. You guys should definitely check it out. I recommend it. And that's all I got for you folks.